Hello, everyone. I'm Dennis Bueller, the President and CEO of the Greater Green Bay Community Foundation, and it really is my pleasure today to welcome and introduce John Hurdle, the founder and executive chairman for Hurdle, Callahan and Company. John's firm was recently named the Chief Investment Officer for the Greater Green Bay Community Foundation. And John, we couldn't be more excited to welcome you and your entire team to not only our foundation family, but certainly the Greater Green Bay area.
We're thrilled to be there, Dennis, and we're excited about getting started, and we think we're going to do great things together.
Yeah, John, we spoke about this in the past, but, even before the very challenging times that we're all living in and working through and working very hard to support organizations who are doing a lot of good in our community, donors faced a myriad of options that lie before them in their philanthropic planning. How do I make charitable giving a part of my fiscal planning? Where can my gifts make, the biggest difference? How will my investments be stewarded really over time? And I think both you and I have seen over the years just how critical community foundations are in supporting the donors' desire to make an impact in the communities they love. And it's really changed over the years, hasn't it?
It really has. And one of the things that you and I talked about, which I find absolutely on point, is this notion of exploding complexity. There's so much need and there's so many people asking for money, and being able to have a partner like the Community Foundation to help vet and determine where you can make the most impact really matters. It's actually quite analogous to what we do. The investment world has exploded in complexity. And we're a different kind of an organization, which is why I think you all selected Hurdle Callahan. And we're an independent investment office. So we're not selling products in any way, and we're not consultants. We're really like chief investment officers. That's in our title, chief investment officers. And what do? We're basically sorting through all the options that are available in the world and trying to find best-in-class opportunities, but also assembling all those diverse opportunities into a custom solution for the foundation. And that's hard. And one of the reasons that we're able to do it is, first of all, we've been doing this for 32 years. We're privately owned. We manage $18 billion, so that gives us the purchasing power to pay for the research and get wholesale access to the best specialists in the world. So like you, we're helping our clients assemble an impactful solution.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think the complexity of this, certainly in the philanthropic world that's grown over the years, is in no small part why community foundations have seen this explosion of growth, particularly in the last few years, as people really try to navigate all of the options that lie before them. And they really are looking for the kind of resources and tools and options necessary to make good choices, but they're looking also for, I think, the transparency and the responsiveness they need to make sure that they're having an impact not only today, but certainly over the long haul within a community. And we know that the resources are available at Hurdle Callahan to help us and our donors work through that. I know that you're doing that within communities across the country in your work with donors and nonprofits and other community leaders. Maybe talk just a little bit about how you go about that work within a community, whether it's been in other communities, and what we might expect to see from your team as we develop relationships here in Green Bay.
Well, that's a great question. We have clients in 38 states, and we work with what we always would call as families and related institutions. So we often would work with enterprise families who naturally took us into their community foundations and the other charitable institutions within that community. But the key point is that each one of them is custom. So what you want to know is that there are certain principles in investing that are timeless. And then every time you meet a new challenge, you have to apply those timeless principles to create a custom solution. We like to think about this as bridge building. It's like you're building a bridge, a financial bridge to the future.
Right.
And so when you build a bridge, the physics of bridge building never change, but the site changes. So in other words, its span is longer, the stress factors are longer, the soil conditions are different. So you've got to custom make the bridge for the circumstance, but the principles of bridge building never change. So you hear this a lot in investing, is that the four most dangerous words in investing are, it is different this time. But actually, it's always different. So it's always different and it's never different. So we work very closely. This is one of our key concepts, is that you can't have a great solution if you don't have great diagnosis, if you don't have great planning up front. understanding, for example, what is the required return so that we can fulfill our promises. And what we believe as serious investors, and this is all we do, is work with institutions like the Greater Green Bay Community Foundation and families around the country, all of whom are serious investors. Families are philanthropists, community foundations are really making a difference in their community. So what we know is that we can come up with what we think of as a required return. In the case of a family who's donating money, you might think of my current lifestyle, I want to maintain it. I want to support the community foundation and support the causes that I love. And then finally, I want to have a legacy. And that legacy can be with my family or with the community. So you add those three up and you can come up with a required return. And the point is to try and achieve that required return with the highest degree of certainty, as opposed to shoot for a high return, end up with a much lower return, and fail to meet our promises, fail in our mission, in a sense. So we really are about achieving required returns with the highest degree of certainty. And that, by the way, is particularly difficult in a challenging world like we have today, where interest rates are so low.
Sure.
Most of your investors remember, I certainly do, we had double-digit interest rates, and it was easier to buy bonds and provide a relatively stable, high-returning core to the portfolio. That doesn't exist today. So that makes the challenge of achieving a required return with certainty more difficult, and we think more requiring of an organization like ours, conflict-free, experienced, multi-billion dollars. So we think we're going to do a terrific job for the foundation, and we're eager to get started.
Well, and to your point, the fundamentals may be very similar. The bridge structure may be the same, but the sites are different. And we know every community is so very different. Certainly here in Green Bay, our foundation, our community was really built on this idea that every single person, no matter their capacity, has the ability to make an impact. But we also believe in this idea of collective impact, that the idea that together, as partners, as professionals, as donors, as nonprofits, we can really dig deep to understand the community, understand where the needs are, what does together, how do we develop that solution and really work toward that goal that's unique to our particular community. And I think that's something we were really impressed with in our early conversations with Hurdle Callahan, was a commitment your team really had, really understanding what makes it, the issues of Green Bay unique, what makes it tick, and how do we really want to develop a solution with the local partners, with our board, our investment committee, our nonprofits, that can really work for the long-term impact within our community. And that's something I think that your team really expressed a real desire and a real commitment for, which was the people of this community.
Well, we certainly agree with that. We really believe that one of the things I like to think about is that money was one of mankind's greatest inventions. And there's been a lot written about that. But not only do you not have to take a bushel of tomatoes down to the market to buy a pork chop, but you can also transfer this value through generations. So the money that is created today will benefit the community for decades to come if it's managed properly and it's allocated to the charities that are going to make a difference, to the endeavors that are going to make a difference, or it's going to have impact. So we do want to know about that. We think that patrimony, that money that we've accumulated as a country, and you think about it, it's from mineral extraction, it's from perspiration, it's from inspiration, it's all those things, and we've accumulated this wealth as a nation, this patrimony. If we manage it well, it means more scholarship, more security, more research, more human progress. And if we manage it poorly, the opposite is true. So this is important work that we're doing together. And we are really inspired by that, and we're inspired by your trust.
Well, and I think that's a mantle of responsibility that we all feel and we take very, very seriously. And we want to make sure that we remind people who are watching today, two really different audiences. For our professional advisors who might be watching this today, we're working with their clients on their charitable goals and outcomes. We want to remind them that John's team and I will be hosting a live webinar on October 14th from noon until 1. We'll be talking a little bit more detail about some of the concepts that John has already laid out, as well as ways that we view the current economic conditions and how we can continue to support your clients' goals. But we also want to make sure that all of our fund holders and our donors are aware that we'll be hosting a spring donors forum in early 21. The date is yet to be determined, and we're certainly very hopeful we can do that in person, because we really want to be together as a group to talk about the issues that are impacting our community, how together we can work together, but also hear, John, directly from your team about how you're continuing to steward those funds and how we're working towards some of those goals that you laid out. I know these are programs that you've done in other communities very successfully, and the response has always been very, very positive.
Well, we're eager. We're excited to be working with you, Dennis, and we're eager to get started. We're looking forward to those events. Well,
thank you again, John, for just taking a few minutes to speak with me and with the folks who are listening to this video today, and just know again how much we're looking forward to working with your team in the years to come.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you too.